So we wanted to talk about giants, hey?
There's some giant talk, mate. I think it's one of the most fascinating topics. You've been researching the topic for many years, mate, and not many better people to speak to than the man before me at the moment. We're lucky enough to have a chat with again, bro. So, yeah, man, it's isn't giant. Like, look at this building behind me. Like, we're talking about giants. This is Balmain Post Office in Sydney. Well, you know, you know what I'm saying? Post office, like, it's built for giants. Look at the doorways, man.
This is the question, like they say that we built them, and even if we could, why would you build it so big in a new colony when you don't have, all these mines and manufacturing plants and
That's right.
resources, and why would you do that? And then, of course, we get the photos of, the little wooden shacks leaning up against them where the people actually live.
Yeah, I love those ones. Yeah, and big difference in like what they could build and what they inherited, mate. Like, darling, can you build your house, please?
Exactly right.
One question we hear always when we talk about giants is, where did they go? Would you like to fill us in a little bit on that topic?
As to where they went, sure.
Who, what, when, where, why? What happened to them? Where'd they go? How did it happen? What's your take on
it? Yeah. Well, we know that obviously we had giants. It's in all the stories, all the old books, and it's in the architecture. We've got photos, we've got news clippings. So it's not a theory. We all know about the trees, right? The giant trees. The realm used to be covered in giant trees, and we've got, the remains of those everywhere. And, we have the stories like Jack and the Beanstalk, right?
Yeah.
Beanstalk, climbing up the beanstalk, climbing up the tree, all this stuff. And then as far as we can work out from the extra canon books, the books that were taken out of the Bible, like the Book of Giants and all this kind of stuff, they tell us that there were giants and the Bible, giants on the earth, and they basically just started devouring everything, right? Mm-hmm. So these are big. So I think we're talking about more than one type of giant.
Yeah.
We've got those stories are about big giants, and basically this, that's the story of the flood. They wanted to wipe out the giants because they were consuming everything, destroying the world, and so the flood came. The flood was, came for whatever reason, and to stop the giants climbing up the giant trees and surviving the flood, they got the fallen angels to cut down all the trees. Wow. Now, if you think about trees, trees produce carbon dioxide, right? Taking oxygen, produce carbon dioxide. An atmosphere with more carbon dioxide, things grow bigger. So literally there's farmers, people who grow fruit, and they build big greenhouses and they pump CO2 into it to make things grow bigger and faster. So they change the atmosphere. As far as I can see, they changed the atmosphere. I think that's what reduced, because we have stories, and if you look into the Bible, it says that Adam was, gosh, how big was he? I think 60 foot, is that right? Something like that, like big, like huge. Like, not, we're not talking 9-10 foot, we're talking massive. So I think, when the atmosphere changed, that sort of reduced things immensely, and they tell us, right, everything was bigger in the past, Ice Age, woolly mammoths, all this stuff, even dinosaurs, right? They might just be giant crocodiles and iguanas, and then I think definitely after that, we've been messed with genetically. It's just everywhere. It's in all the old texts, and of course we don't know how much we can believe about science and what they tell us. But if you look into the genetics, it says that we have 23 pairs of chromosomes, so 46, and all the hominids that we supposedly evolved from they have 24 pairs or 48. So they have one more pair than us. But we're also told that humans have, our first chromosome is fused. That's actually two that have been fused together. So basically, if you're looking at that genetically, it's saying that, yeah, we're a mixture of the hominids from Earth and something else. And at the very least, they've fused two of the genes together, and that's made us a different species, or, you know, something's happened there clearly, right? And I think that they can inhibit our size and our lifespan as well. I mean, in the Bible, it says after the flood, and of course the Bible's, you know, a reference, but we don't know that everything's accurate, but it says after the flood, you know, the Lord comes down and says, basically, now you'll eat animals, you know, now the animals and the crawly things will be your meat, and your years will be capped at 120.
Wow.
Which basically we were living longer, right, than that beforehand. Well, you look at the Old Testament, and it tells Genesis, right, which is what, the generations or the genes of Isis. You know, Moses and you know, Methuselah and all these people, Adam, all the generations, they all lived. I think Methuselah was the longest at 969 years, was it? And the shortest was like 500 years old. So they were living, you know, this is what we're told, 500 years old, and this stuff's everywhere.
Yeah.
But of course, that part of the story we're told, no, that's just, you know, analogous, or that's just a, you know, a story. It means something else, just a parable. It's not real. But all the other theosophical books say the same thing. You know, you look back, you know, we've got it in the nursery rhymes, in old books, legends, and news clippings. News clippings, right? Like, and yeah, I was thinking about the news clippings because they're all from the late 1800s, early 1900s, like heaps of them, digging up skeletons, right, of giants, but they're all sort of between 7 and 9 feet. And the funny thing is, we have a ton of photos from that same time period of people 7 to 9 feet. So it's kind of weird, isn't it, that there would be an anomaly if there were all these giants everywhere and they're digging up a bone. Like, that's strange to me. I've just sort of was thinking about that today, because we don't really know when all these photos are. Right? A photo is just a picture, and all we know is if someone writes a number on it, you know, as a date, that's all we've got. Oh, this is from then. We don't know that. So yeah. But yeah, I think that's what happened to the giants. I think the atmosphere was changed, and then we've had some kind of, you know, restrictor put on us, because it says, again, I'm referencing the Bible a lot here, and you know, I don't believe in organized religion, but there's a lot of truth in it. It says, you know, the fallen angels, these beings that came into our realm, started sinning, right? Sinning against the birds, the beasts, and the animals. And then, you know, you look back in the old books, and we have all these things that are called cryptoids, you know, and they're like dogmen, right? You know, people with dog heads, or these, you know, all these funny pictures, you know, the people with the face in their chest, or with 1 foot, or, you know, they've got all the, you know, half birds. And then we have all these, you know, Egyptian gods, right? Like Anubis, right? Dog-headed man. You know, we've got the falcon-headed man, Thoth, and all these things. But we also have the same, like the dog-headed men, they're actually called the cynocephaly. And there's stories. There's a story about a French king granting them land, like granting this tribe of dog-headed men land. And there's lots of stories of them, you know, that there were these tribal people with dog heads. So if that's true, and they were sinning against the birds, is that what sinning is? Is that genetic manipulation? Because what does it also say in the Bible about us? We're all born with what? With sin. Does that mean we're born with genetic manipulation?
Yeah, that's a really interesting point, mate. Wow. Let's just sit on that for a minute. Wow. Yeah.
So there's many points. Yeah.
Yeah, and one thing I always thought about with the giants is, you know, when you talk about changing the atmosphere, mate, and carbon dioxide. And one thing that I've touched upon is like, wow, imagine the biosphere back then would have been insane before it was depleted in such a way. And, you know, imagine movement in such a atmosphere. And then you've got these giant beings. I always look at like a whale. When it comes up to the surface, it can only stay up for so long before it's got to go back down to the pressure it requires to, otherwise it'll die, you know. So is that what's happened to these giants, mate?
Yeah, I think it's definitely a pressure thing. And I think, and, you know, this may be to do as well. You know, we don't know if this was caused by, you know, people chopping down trees, right? You know, there's a lot of talk about, you know, plasma apocalypses and things, and this is all talked about in the Vedas and the Sambatika fires, and we have the Hopi legend of the Blue Kachina, and these are all pretty much telling the same thing. And Thunderbolt's project on YouTube look into this a lot, and if you look into how plasma forms when it's forming, you know, they form it in vacuums and things, and it goes through these stages of shapes, and it forms like a ladder, and then it forms like a cross, and then it forms like, it's called the standing man. It looks like a man who's sort of squatting. And these pictures are all through caves, all the cave paintings, they're all over the realm. These pictures that look like the plasma are all in these caves. So, you know, this could have been an event that was just, you know, cyclical, just something that happens. We don't know. Could have been, you know, caused. And it could have been a big event, you know, like, because we've got the deserts, you know, all this, you know, like half the world got fried, right?
Yeah, man.
Australia.
The area around where I live,
and
man.
you know, I just did. No, you go.
Oh, I was just going to say, the area where I live, mate, everywhere's covered in like 6 foot of clay. My backyard's just all clay. You drive down the street, and you know, they've had to pull when they've dug out the train tracks, clay inside. These big, you know, it's crazy, mate. Yeah, then the deserts of Australia. What, you know, is Australia just a big mine? Has it all just been mined? Yeah, or is it this cataclysm?
I mean, I think a lot of mining went on, and I'm sure it did in Australia too. I tend to think that there was water in the middle of Australia, like a big ocean, and, you know, something's happened, and when that's happened, it's, you know, probably evaporated half the ocean, but also caused the land to change, so the water's run out.
Yeah.
And I think that's why we have, you know, because we got salt lakes everywhere, right, through the centre of Australia. They're just bits of ocean water where they've evaporated and the salt stayed there. That's so, you know, I think a lot went on in Australia. So I think, you know, the planet was, yeah, I mean, and that could have been, you know, that could have again changed the atmosphere, just all the mining and stuff. But I think it was more, I'm sort of leaning towards, you know, because we're going through this change at the moment, right? Age of Aquarius, all this thing. And people always ask me, oh, you know, the 1,000 years, well, does that change, you know, the great year? And it may, but, you know, we're definitely in it, right? Look outside, look what's going on. You know, some people think, oh, it's a big scam, and, you know, they've moved it and this isn't really the age of Aquarius. And I just say, look out the window, man. Tell me nothing's going on. Like, we're definitely in the right spot. And so, yeah, this could be natural that we get plasma events that you know, change the atmosphere from heavy to light. So we might even go from big creatures to small creatures, and then back to big creatures. And that might be what's happening at the moment, right? The sun's changing, all these things. And if the atmosphere changes again to basically, it's going to be like less pressure, right? More carbon dioxide, things will grow bigger, it's less pressure. And then we have all these stories of superheroes, right? People that can fly. Well, what could you do if we had this body and we've been living 50 years under this pressure, and suddenly you got half the pressure? We'd all be superheroes, man.
Oh, that sounds epic, bro. I'm ready for it. Fly to Mexico.
I'm ready for it too.
We'll just go fly together to Mexico.
Who needs
Us.
an airship, man?
Yeah. Oh, airship it up, bro. Yeah, man. Yeah. You can just have a
Yeah,
little fly, you know, we can just jump out of the airship and have a little fly if we feel like it. But there's also the carpet,
yeah,
yeah, and also the magic carpets too to jump on.
exactly right.
Mm. But mate,
And we
get
have all
back,
these stories like magic carpet.
sorry, we've got a
All
little
right.
bit of a delay issue, brother, today. Just so that's what's happening.
Yeah, the
Yeah, mate, just back to
internet's
the
been-
Giants. So something's happened to them. We know they're bigger. We know the atmosphere's changed. We know that they've built these buildings. We know that they're more advanced than us, and you know, not only the technology, but on a conscious level, which is something that you know we talk about. You know, they talk about cavemen in the past, mate. They're cavemen now. They're literally.
So I'll just go through some photos of
Yeah, we've got.
setting that you can see these are dudes.
Are they little, man? Are they just?
They're men. And
Are they,
this block is taller than them. Like
my
literally.
goodness.
This is Foulback, and this is the Trillathon. These three at the bottom. They're just three mat, but you can see how big these blocks are. Like if that's a 6 foot dude, this is what 6, 12, 25 foot tall, and God knows how long. I mean, basically, how could we move that? How could and how could even
Back
we'd
then,
have trouble building machinery to move that.
yeah. And mate, like back then,
But
like, this is insane. What a great pick. I thought I was seeing things, man. Those two little men. My brain was playing tricks on me. Wow, look.
Madness, right? So this this is the Vatican. So you can see these people.
Yeah, been
Look
there.
at the doorway.
Wow.
And even, I'm always talking about these light poles, right? These light poles, I think, well, there's no one standing right against them, but you can see, like these people they wouldn't even be up to the bottom, top of this pedestal. Look how big, how tall this light is. Like, what's the point of that if you're this short?
Yeah.
I mean, just look at the door sizes, right? Literally, if we do this, they look like ants.
Wow. Yeah.
Don't they?
Yeah.
Silly. And this obelisk, they say this came from Egypt. And even if they could move it, how did they stand it up?
I know. It's just insane. Look, the weight of that. Maybe 100 ton or something.
Madness.
Crazy.
Mm.
Doorways. Look at that. Just incredible.
Again, they just look like ants, like these people. That's ridiculous.
They were such a sophisticated, conscious people, like a race, mate, and it's,
Yeah.
and yeah,
Well, this is the end result of not telling people what to do, when you let people create and use their God-given creativity, this is what happens. When you're told you have to go to work 5 days of work and have a week and have a mortgage, and so you can never focus on what you want to, and we get a world like we've just come out of. But this is where we're going, because the chant at the moment, it's all sovereignty. Don't tell me what to do. Leave us alone. We just want to do our own thing. And when that happens, we get this. Because, I mean, just look at what happened in Canberra.
Yeah.
Like all these people turned up, it was just on this, literally, it happened in a couple of days, and they all got into Canberra, and, within 2 days, there were kitchens set up, they had toilets, they had stuff for the kids, they had water, they had a fully functioning community that was looking after everyone's needs. And it just happened.
Yeah.
Because it was just humans doing their thing with no bloody authors, authority jumping in saying, and of course they try to. And as soon as they come in, they stuff everything up. That's all these people do. They just
I know.
destroy everything.
Yeah.
So yeah, this,
It's
again,
just,
right?
yeah, man.
This is the Vatican again, but it's just, this is inside the
Incredible.
Vatican.
Yeah, mate. When I was in Italy, I had no idea. Like, I knew something was up, and I was looking at the size of these buildings, the Parthenon, and my
Parthenon,
God,
yeah.
yeah, that building, bro, that's just out of control. And I'm like, what the hell?
It's it's all for the glory of God. Come on. All you
And
need is
Michelangelo,
enough people who go to church. 100 years, you can build anything. Yeah, Michelangelo, Sistine Chapel. Was he Sistine Chapel? Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. Well, they reckon he spent like 5 years laying in his back or something, or 10 years.
half his luck. That sounds like my daughter. My daughter could do that.
Is she an artist? Is she?
No, she loves laying down.
No, she just wants to lie down. Yeah.
Classic. Sorry, I've got a fly here.
We have
Didn't.
Egypt, right?
Well, again,
Oh, right. I mean, we know Egypt is massively oversized,
yeah.
just everywhere. Taj Mahal, look at the size of the people.
And
I mean, it's
do you think?
comical.
Yeah, and I guess there must have been times when big giants were living with other size giants, and there were smaller ones. There was probably dwarves. There could have been, the dudes with the dog heads. Like, the reality that was before us, mate, it's just absolutely fascinating. And nursery rhymes. How interesting, mate. I think there's a lot more truth in nursery rhymes, and like you touched upon before, Jack and the Beanstalk.
Mm.
Yeah, there's Jack. Oh, that's not
Jack. Yeah. No, that's the giant.
That's the giant.
This is Jacqueline.
Gaz is getting mixed up.
And in all these old photos, you'll notice that, I mean, look at his clothes. They fit him perfectly. Who's making these clothes for these giant people? Because they're always so well dressed. You would, when you see giants today, I mean, most basketball now, I guess, but in the past, they just have to sort of, nothing would really fit them properly. I mean, look at this chick. Like, she's dressed to the nines.
Wow. Yep.
Yes, wouldn't mess with her, would you? What's her name?
That's
Oberlin. So she's from New York. So these are all around the 1800s, and this is
and look at the doorway.
The size of the they were finding.
And see the doorway,
yeah, right. Yeah,
that's probably more. They were made for these types. Yeah, and then they just put the little glass bits in the top of the door, the door frame, and say, "Oh no, it's still let light in."
Of course it is.
Yeah, that's a good
and of course another theory about what happened or may have happened to the giants is we have Lord of the Rings, right? And in an interview, J.R. Tolkien said that Lord of the Rings was basically a story about the past, the story of humanity, and he had access. I forgot what the university it was, but he had access for like 20 or 30 years to like a locked off library underneath the university, which looks like it had all these old books in it. Wow. And what happens at the end of Lord of the Rings, right? The elves, which are really the giants in the Lord of the Rings, right?
Yeah.
They all leave, right? They go back to the where do they go? The inner world. You got 3 worlds in it. I can't remember what they are. But they go to an outer world, right? Do they go to more land outside the wall?
Mm-hmm.
Now this dude, I don't think this guy's a proper giant. This is probably a very small woman. I mean, he's tall.
Yeah.
But see how skinny he is, and also see how his clothes aren't fitting him properly. But see how skinny he is, especially across the shoulders and stuff.
Yeah.
No, he's very tall and skinny. That's a thyroid giant. He's got his thyroid's producing too much growth hormone. And these people grow tall and skinny, and by the time they're about 25, they literally can't support themselves. You see them, they got leg braces on, and have to use walking canes and things.
Okay. Yeah.
So that's not an actual, proper giant, as in like these dudes, right? These dudes are not skinny. These are literally just like a normal dude, but bigger.
Yeah. Mate, there's pictures of those two changing light bulbs in the street just casually.
Yeah. And exactly right. That's kind of like, well, that makes sense if you're this tall, right? Those street lights. Oh my gosh, people. But again, they're very well dressed, aren't they?
And yeah, and that's the thing that you do see a lot of the time in these pics, mate, as you touched upon. And have you seen the giant where I think it was Richard Lopez did a video, and this giant walks through the crowd, and you can only see, like, as he's walking through the crowd, you can see the people's heads, and they're up to like a hip, and then the giant seems to have a protector. It's really interesting footage, mate. This protector pushes all the people out of the way.
Not like the Japanese one?
Oh, that's a different one.
That's a different one? Okay.
Yeah, mate, wow. Yeah, really interesting.
Yeah, no, I haven't seen it. I have to check it out.
Yeah, man, it's a shivers up the spine sort of material.
And
in this video, mate, this guy's suit, you can see and the way he walks, composes himself like this giant. You can only see three-quarters of his body, but you can see the height of him, and just the way he conducts himself. His posture, his comfortability, his confidence, and how well his suit fits in. It's great footage, man.
Yeah.
But yeah,
is that recent footage?
It's pretty old. That's old, really old footage. Yeah. It's like one of the first original footage that we have of anything. I don't know where Richard got this. The guy with the husky voice, Richard Lopez, an American guy. Yeah. But yeah. So it seems like they've invented basketball for these guys.
Yeah, exactly right. And wrestling, maybe, who knows?
Check that.
And that's why, and we still do have giants around. There's actually a village in France, northern France, where they have an unusually high amount of giants, and they actually try and say that it's because of some seed oil they rub on their feet or something to stop that, because they work in the mountains, or some silly story. And then we get stuff like this, right? I mean, who knows? That kind of looks like a face, right?
Yeah.
That's a big rock, and then this obviously.
Well, man, and that's what we're talking about.
This is more the Titan.
Yeah, that's right. Different sized giants. So you've got
they got those legs.
Wow. Mickey Rooney.
Mickey Rooney, yeah. And this is what they do as well, obviously, with most of these pictures, that they put them next to short people to make them look bigger. Yeah. But you can still see this chick's pretty much 8 foot tall. Those legs are as they're more than 5. They're as tall as Mickey Rooney, man.
Yeah, she's
long
got
legs, like 5 feet.
That's like this guy, this giant walking through this crowd of people. And it's seriously a real interesting, mate. You could do a video on this video. It's crazy.
Yeah, I have to have a look. There's a picture of, I believe it's in France. I don't think it's one of the gates. It's not the Arc de Triomphe, I don't think. But there's like a painting from the 1700s, 1600s, and it just shows people in front of this, this arch. And the arch is still there today. And so someone got a picture of people in front of the arch today and put it next to this old painting. And the people in the old painting are clearly double the size of us. They're like 12, 14, you know, because you can see how tall they are against the arch where they're standing.
Yeah.
And of course, lots of them back in the day, they were like in the freak shows at circuses, or they were performers. Always, you know, they're always sort of performers to sort of, I don't know, I guess it stops people asking questions. It makes it look like they're just an anomaly, you know, like they're freaks of nature.
Yeah.
Very clearly,
yeah.
if we've got this many photos, imagine how many were out there that didn't get photographed, you know, because we're talking early 1900s, late 1800s. Not like there were heaps of photograph cameras around.
And then
this one, you can't see the size. That's a giant key, though.
Yeah. How big would that be, mate? Oh, okay. Wow. Yeah, that's
pretty big.
Well, we've seen the size of that.
So
some of the gates on some of these.
15 centimeters.
Wow, cool. Oh,
padlock.
Wow. I mean, even to lock that and try to, it's a two-man job.
Yeah, I know, right?
You know what I mean?
For us.
Yeah, that's a two-man job right there.
Even this lock, just look how well it's made. I mean, it's just obviously made for function, but it's even got this really nice little brass door that goes over and stops water getting into the locking mechanism. I mean, we wouldn't do that today.
Wow.
Look at that one.
Oh, that's awesome, mate. Wow.
Yeah, so we've got, these are the Patagonians from South America, and that's written up Magellan.
Yeah.
They're in the 1480s, I believe. It writes about the giants. And of course, Patagonia is very close to it's down south of South America. It's close to where South America, goes down to the Arctic, right? And then the land that it almost touches is called Terra del Fuego, the land of fire, on all the old maps, right? But it's in the Antarctic, which is, they tell us, is covered in snow, right? The land of fire. That doesn't make sense, but it's very close. Like, is that one of the land bridges? Was that a land bridge where bigger people could either leave this realm or maybe come into this realm? Maybe they saw the parasites come in and they were just like, we're out of here, man. We're just going. And they just might have taken off to greener pastures, just like it tells us in Lord of the Rings, right? The elves, we got to go back to our land now. You guys got to look after yourself for a while. Because they do tell us everything, right?
Look at that. That's amazing. I mean, imagine.
And of course, the further you go back, the bigger they get. Sorry, right?
No, I was just going to say, mate, imagine the daily lifestyle. Just, wow. That's what I find really interesting, just trying to soak into an everyday day when you're dealing, wow, look at that. So cool. Yeah, dealing with giants and walk down the street with your dragon,
Well, I think that's what it was. I really, I think we had a lot more than giants.
Yeah, man.
I think we had, dwarves, and we've got all the bones and stories about them as well, little people and fairies, and who knows what else.
That's it, mermaids, like these stories, like unless these people are just on drugs, like writing stuff, because the very vivid imagination. Don't get me wrong, a lot of it probably is with people off their head on writing stories, but there's still a lot of truth in these nursery rhymes and movies.
That's how they tell us, right? This whole concept of they have to tell us and everything has to be done by, consent. So they just tell us, they just don't tell us that they're telling us.
That's it. Well said.
That's it.
Yeah, man.
Just the scam.
It is a scam. And yeah, mate, I've seen through it from a little boy. Crazy. Yeah, mate. Giants, I think everyone's fascinated by the story of Giants. It's one of those things. And the Smithsonian's had a major part in covering up all that sort of the truth, mate. You know.
Yep. They had to do. Is it Snopes or something? Are they the old fact checkers? They had to put out all these fact checking stories because it came out that the Smithsonian were dumping giant skeletons in the ocean.
Yeah.
And now literally you try and search for it on Google and it's just all these fact checker articles. Oh no, this isn't true. And that's, of course, they don't look at the evidence. So you say, oh no, this isn't true. And expect us to believe it. But I mean, the evidence, there's just too much evidence, right? Like this, libraries full of giant books.
And look at that. Wow. Giant
music.
It's a
different language.
Yeah. Wow. Look at that.
This looks like music.
Yeah.
Doesn't
it? Some of it does. Yeah. Words. It looks like actual words with music.
Yeah. Words and music. Yeah. And it looks like it's all written with like fountain pen. So it's all. So even the writing's elegant, right? Like everything they did was just, just done well.
I know.
Now done to last.
Just living in this, just look at concrete. I've said it before, mate. It lasts 100 years. Like if you've got a civilization that's concrete, it's designed to only last 100 years, then you got to scratch your head and go, what? Your phone, you drop your phone, it's certainly not made to last.
No, it's definitely not made to last. I mean, it's just,
look at that book.
It's a throwaway society. It's planned obsolescence, right?
I think these books because... Sorry, bro.
Oh, sorry.
No, I think that book was actually just made for small children to view, for easy, like a big screen TV.
You reckon? Of course.
Yes.
I mean, I think they'd go to that effort. Yeah. But the other thing about that is all the maps we get, they're all massive. All the old maps, like the I think even the 1450 one, but definitely the planisphere, what is it, 1497 or something? That big one that shows all the extra land. It's 10 foot. That's a 10-foot map. Why would you make, so it fits in with the books, right? Why would you make something that big?
Yeah.
It just doesn't make sense.
And have an awesome one, bro. And we'll speak soon. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, mate. Great to talk. Talk to you soon, Gary.
Cheers, brother.
Take care.
Have a good one. Thanks, guys. Bye. We're doing a sort of background swap.
We are, man. I'm competing with you.
It's on. The battle has begun.
Battle of the backgrounds.
Yeah. Well, check.
My building's bigger than yours.